have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
With Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Reality Rants. I am Jason Bermas here over at redvoicemedia.com. And I can't believe it's already Thursday. I guess some of that has to do with the fact that, we didn't have the Monday show because it was Labor Day for me. But still, man, the week just flies by. And that's the thing. Things just keep moving forward and forward and forward and forward and forward. And by the way, I tell you, they just keep moving forward. So, I'm going to give some people some insight on how we do the show here. The night before, I usually have somewhat of an idea, especially if I get my thumbnail up. Sometimes I don't necessarily, but I knew I wanted to talk about human brain computer interfaces. And really, it's brain computer interfaces because we're probably going to be going over some examples of non-human brain computer interfaces. BCI is like the hip term for these things. And when I woke up this morning, I already had the thumbnail up. I had one thing driven into my head that I wanted to do a watch along with, and I could not find it for the life of me. So difficult to find. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to have to scrape through either Daily Motion or Vimeo or something like that to find this thing. But it was a PBS documentary, I believe entitled The Worldwide Mind. And it was possibly Nova, but I think it was from all the way back in 2004. Kurzweil, very heavily featured, among others. And what I had planned to do this morning was do sort of a watch along with that as an hour long. And I wanted to give some historical reference to what had been talked about and what currently is coming to fruition, and the void between that and what they're promising in the future, and really how a lot of those are empty promises, as we've discussed. I hate to tell everybody, there is no rainbow at the end of the yellow brick road and no gold at the end of the rainbow. Hear what I'm saying here? This is like total and complete human enslavement. So I'm dicka doing on the old computy, getting this, getting that, having backup stories that obviously I'll be talking about as well. We rarely spend 2 hours on just one subject. Those days are long gone in the format we have now, right? Because usually when we would do those deep dives and watch-alongs, number one, we weren't as heavily censored on YouTube. Number two, a lot of audience participation and kind of like an AMA situation. The long and the short of it is, I don't find that, okay? But I still had a banger of a show lined up for you, still do. I've got a lot of videos via recent TED Talks and The Economist pushing human brain interfaces. And I thought to myself, okay, great show. I mean, not great, but this is going to be a good one. And a lot of this actually has to do with the reason I chose this subject matter is because Alex Jones did one of, in my opinion, his most poignant and I would say research-driven shows in quite some time. And that's not to knock Alex. I'm just saying that this one in particular was less on the rants and more of the analysis like we do here with an individual from Georgetown at the Mad Scientist Conference talking about the same types of neuro-DARPA tech that we often talk about here. And doing so in a very direct and straight manner. And it's funny, he has a PowerPoint up, and it's black and white, but if you look at it, it looks so much like the Future Strategic Warfare 2025 document that we continuously show you, because it's a blueprint for where we've gone in the last 20 plus years and where they want to take us in the next couple and really into the future. Okay. It also gives kind of like a good breakdown of how far behind they are from their plan, because they're not completely on point. I'll just say that. So I think I have a bang diddly anger ready for everybody. And once again, kudos to Alex, because that show, if you guys didn't see yesterday's show, it's so good. And the interview with Thomas Renz, kudos to Thomas Renz, who I continually have more and more respect for. Somebody I've met in person and obviously interviewed a few times on the show. But one of the things initially I discussed with Thomas Renz is that I don't believe this was a leak. And that's the accepted narrative now. You can say that, or you can say natural still. Somehow you can still say natural. I mean, I guess you could say that not only do unicorns exist, but they live on Lucky Charms marshmallows. Not Lucky Charms, just the marshmallows in the box. And they've got blueberry jam for blood. You can say whatever you want, right? But Renz is now talking about what? A seeded, deliberate attack. How about that? Good for you, Tom. So great show yesterday. Again, it's Reality Rants. I'm still hyped up. Well, Jason, will you get to the point? What is it that you found that was so damn important? So, 10 minutes before air, probably maybe 15, I'm like, you know what? Let's get one more thing. And what I like to do is, I like to do searches within the month or the year. I want the fresh stuff. I want to know exactly what's going on. And I see, because I'm going to show you also not only just like the brain chip technology, but then the wearables. And we've talked about the wearables here, and that's a big thing. Because ultimately, technology is technology, as I said, a hammer, building a house, bashing a head. Dual use, more than dual, it's multi-use, dual-sided purpose, okay? With this technology, they don't need to jam something in your brain with electrodes unless they want full and complete control. Like, someone turned me on to Harrison Burgin, which is a book / they made a movie. It was a TV movie. It's with the Rudy Rudiger, Sam from The Hobbit actor. Shameful I don't know his name, but it's really good. But it's all about not only a medical procedure, but then wearing these things that kind of suppress your intelligence. So wearables already kind of on the edge, but they want a hard line wire in there. So anyway, I find this thing. We're going to play the video. It's called A Mind-Controlled Masterpiece. James Johnson creates art in Photoshop using his brain, just brainwaves. Okay? But what interested me even more, and we're going to play that clip, of course, so I can illustrate that to you. What interested me even more is the fact that it was BlackRock Neurotech. And I'm like, come on! BlackRock Neurotech. And it was like,
Yeah, BlackRock Neurotech, mother.
trucker. What's it all about now? Yeah, the BCI exhibit. And yes, this is us. We are BlackRock.
So, again, guys, yes, this is really BlackRock. And if you're a premium member, or if you watch during the week and watch me play one of those premium clips, what were we talking? BlackRock is into everything. They are into every single thing you can imagine. They're not playing around. And they're into brain chips. Here it is. I mean, they got, first of all, BlackRock Neurotech had its own YouTube page, pioneering the future. They're not messing. I mean, we're talking about the real deal in your brain, 19 plus years of human studies, 30,000 days of implant research, 1,000 research institutes, 1.7 case studies published. I mean, these guys are doing it. When we talk about like a couple 100,000 people with the brain chips, BlackRock's part of that. See how techno-fascism works? It's kind of crazy, kind of kooky, kind of tough to understand at times. I get it. It's not my favorite. But think about this right now. People are starting to talk about the housing issue more broadly on BlackRock. And it's something that was talked about several years ago. But when these madmen tell you that you will own nothing and you will be happy, you think to yourself, how is that even possible? They plan on a drugged up, mind-controlled, manipulated society that is hooked in to not only a virtual metaverse the vast majority of the time, but into interfaces that will completely and totally devastate and destroy our human instincts. It's not just social engineering. It's the bioengineering we've discussed. And if you watched yesterday, especially if you went to RVM Rumble for the second hour, which you should have done. I told everybody, RVM Rumble, if you went and watched that second hour, after the Zachary Rell interview, we went really deep into that bioengineering, directed evolution, cross-species manipulation, whatever you want to call it. And it's been around for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. Decades upon decades upon decades. And now it's being privatized with BlackRock. Hey, look, I got nothing against this guy. This guy probably needs a brain chip. All right? Using our brain tech, BCI pioneers have been able to eat, drink, send emails, and operate robotic arms just by thinking. First of all, I want to empower those people. We do need to help those people. But we have to look in the mirror and act like adults and ask the question, has healthcare really benefited the masses? Or has it manipulated the masses? Especially when we talk about what they've done with psychology and our brain. Now, I do want things like the end of paralysis. I think that, cochlear implants and retinal implants are obviously good things for those that need to hear and see. But unfortunately, the powers that shouldn't be, the predator class, are going to continually, point to those examples and exploit them, just like they've exploited the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry. Look, pharmaceuticals have their time and place. No doubt about it. But, when I'm watching an advertisement yesterday, I think I was watching the, which channel was it? I was watching some documentary, probably on the American Heroes channel. But this diabetes, A1C lowering drug with an overweight, heavy-set woman, Jardiance. I'll probably have to go pull the Jardiance ad later. But that'll probably be in the second hour, if we even get there, because I have so much to go over. Thumbs up, subscribe, and share. When we come back, I'm going to show you the BlackRock Neurotech video, but they got a whole YouTube channel. So without further ado, everybody, here is a word from our sponsor.
We interrupt today's programming to bring unfortunate news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. So take action now. The Federal Reserve's phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard and put your hard-earned assets in jeopardy. But here's the good news. There's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Speak to someone at American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Dial 833, the number 2 USA Gold. Yes, call now, 833-287-2465. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar.
Oh boy. And listen. Oh! I'll tell you what, guys. At least it was just VLC that just crashed, and my playlist of everything that I wanted to go over today, because I can reload that. I can reload that. But no, my display, I put it off for so long because I'm so upset that I built this master machine and it's just all of a sudden not working correctly. But I don't even want you guys to be a part of that. We're just going to have to go with it. I'm going to have to bring the videos back up, and we're going to have to do it live.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live.
Thank God I put that button in there. All right, so let's bring that back in there. It's going to take a second, guys. You know, we do get it done pretty quickly. And you're like, Jason, you should have saved the playlist file. Yeah, I should have. I should have done that. Can we thumbs it up, subscribe, and share? Okay, so we need this now. And I'm not even sure which one I played there, but we'll put that in there. And then some of this. And I promised that we would go to this AI masterpiece first. So that's what we're going to do. And so this is BlackRock Neurotech. Once again, BlackRock Neurotech has its own YouTube page and its own, BlackRockNeurotech.com. You can check it out yourself.
All right, so let's first just kind of initial run, exercise those brain muscles. We're not going to use it for training, but keep following along.
All right. I've always been a creative person. Come on. Who's ready? Okay, good boy. Up here, give me this. I do anything from photoshopping to interior design. Art just came natural to me. But when I had the accident, everything changed instantly. It took a lot for me to come out of that depression. I just had to accept my new normal.
How do you feel?
I feel good. Thank you, Desiree.
You're welcome.
And look, I'm very empathetic to somebody who is devastated with something like that. Obviously empathetic to that. I just want to point that out. I'm not, this could be incredible technology. But whose hands is it really in?
All right, James, you ready?
I'm all set. And I came across this program where your brain can interface with a computer.
I'm just going to do a quick test.
I didn't even hesitate. I said, sign me up.
All right, so what we have here is our view into James's brain. Each one of those neurons is telling us something about what James wants or experiences in the world. And we can use that to train statistical models and allow his brain activity to drive motion of the cursor.
So I just want to point this out right here, okay? What you're looking at, this at least this level of the technology, because I'm sure it's somewhat more advanced, but this level of the tech, that we're talking 50s and 60s. 50s and 60s that was developed. Do you understand that? Do you not realize that, you know, especially these days, with life expectancy, how many people are gone, dead and gone, that were just born in that era? So this is this technology literally that they're demonstrating now has been around for a human generation. The minds of men, Truthstream Media, Aaron and Melissa Dykes, must watch. Must watch. Take 3+ hours out of your day, maybe even almost 4. Maybe give it a break in the middle. Go get yourself a drink if you like, or a smoke and a pancake while you watch it. I don't know. But must watch. And that illustrates some of this. But it shows you the slow rollout and acceptance. That's all I'm going to say. Let's continue.
I'm imagining following that cursor, kind of like a PlayStation controller. To think that I can control the computer, the cursor, just by thinking about it is mind-blowing. But now I'm going to apply it to what I love to do the most, Photoshop. So right now I'm just going to do a simple blend of 3 different photos. We're going to put her face in the background, get like a soft brush that allows me to fade and make my brush a little bigger. I'm just going to fade.
We need to create a new Bob Ross series with you in Photoshop.
and look, man, I got to tell you, for me, as a guy that loves Photoshop and loves what I do at times and loves to edit, don't get me wrong, both of them can be really frustrating if you're on a timeline. But it is so satisfying to make something out of nothing, or something original out of the unexpected, okay? And you call it art, whatever you want, it's filmmaking, the whole 9, special effects, shorts. When I'm done with a project that I've sat there, I've hit the button to play it over and over and over again, or I've looked at it again and again and again and again, I love it. Or even when I get like a thumbnail that I get done sometimes in 15, 20 minutes, and it's just one of those ones I worked a little extra hard on. It's satisfying. That was definitely, I mean, I'm going to say right now, if I was in this guy's situation, would I take one of these interfaces? Maybe. I'd certainly never sign up as an able-bodied human being. Okay? But just that alone, to regain some kind of semblance of what I'm unable to do with my hands. Here's the issue for me. Why did he have to get that when later on we're going to show you human brain interfaces that interact what? Via just a wearable. I mean, is a wearable not okay for this guy? Why did they have to jack into him? Just pointing that out too.
Art is something that I can do that belongs to me. It gives me control over something that's just me. I don't need assistance. I don't need someone to hold the spoon and feed me. Art allows me to have an identity again. Well, BlackRock's technology has given me hope. It gave me hope that someday I will be able to interface with not just the computer, but my environment. So the sky's the limit with things that I could create.
BlackRock Neurotech. Talk about the dark cartoon. And like I mentioned this at my my presentation. The BCI pioneers. Meet the world's first, and I may have actually covered this because this graphic itself, I may have covered BlackRock and their human brain interfaces prior to this. But boy, oh boy, does it hit me harder after doing that interview with John Fleetwood and talking about what they actually own and how they actually do this. And look, that's very powerful propaganda. And that's exactly what that is. BlackRock's technology. It ain't BlackRock's technology. It's technology driven by our Defense Department that is now being commercialized with those that have done business with them and are on board with the global agenda. That's it. That's a fact, Jack. Make no mistake about it. And I'm sorry if you're naive enough to think that the Musker Do, has your best interests at heart.
Because I simply don't believe that. I don't believe the Muskernuts has, your best interests at heart. A brain chip.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to play, I believe, let's see, this EEG one. So, here's a wearable device. Now, at least with the wearable devices, I'll say it again, you can take them off. My question would be, when you have these things on, how direct is not the control that you have over what you're trying to manipulate, but what's the inverse of that? Let's say something wants to manipulate you, some entity, some enterprise, some individual. Let's play it.
This headset can actually read my mind. Okay, so maybe that's a slight oversimplification/exaggeration. What it actually does is record the voltage fluctuations emitted by my brain via 14 electrodes in different areas. This technology is called electroencephalography, or EEG for short. You may have seen this in popular works of science fiction, but I assure you it's very real. This particular headset is by a company called Emotive, and I've actually had this for quite some time. I utilized it in my high school science fair right before COVID hit, where I aimed to create a brain-computer interface capable of controlling artificial muscles, which I also attempted to fabricate.
This is what they're doing in colleges. In fact, one of the pieces that I have is the extended piece, again, from my presentation over in Vegas, where you've got, again, they're showing basically something similar to what you just saw in Photoshop, but the woman who they're using it as isn't verbal. And she's not quite as paralyzed as he is, but she's not verbal and using it for an avatar. But here someone has a wearable from 3+ years ago. If you watched, I don't know, a month or so ago, we showed you the wearable on 60 Minutes from like 5+ years ago, almost 6. The wearable's EEG is very, very real. It is not science fiction.
Quite the ambitious goal, which I admittedly was too inexperienced to carry the project as far as I wanted to, and probably still am. But I've still been thinking about it all these years, so we may have yet to see my ideas come to light. Anyways, the felt pads are soaked in saline, which picks up the signal from my brain and passes it to a gold electrode in contact with the headset, where it is then run through an amplifier into something more readable. Unfortunately, my thick hair can make this process for me a little less efficient, and more tedious to set up, but it still works more or less. It's what we can do with those recorded signals that things become even more interesting. The emotive software has a special feature that allows its user to record a unique thought across multiple sessions and attribute it to a certain command. You can extend this feature outside the emotive software using their API. You can then take it a step further and control things to a more physical effect, as you can program computer-controlled electronic devices. To demonstrate, I made this basic block code on Node-RED, which takes training profiles from my emotive app and applies the commands from that profile to activate different colored LEDs. The more commands you add, the less efficient this becomes, but it's nonetheless a cool technology that you can use to control anything from computer commands to servo motors. And as much as we all want coding a brain-computer interface to look something like this, here's a condensed version of the nightmare that actually occurred, as I low-key sometimes can't program for shit. Okay, right now
you
I'm
crazy
uploading
millennials.
the communications protocol to the Arduino. Oh, my headset. Duh. Forgot I have to authorize the app. Right. There's an authorization process.
Many hours later.
God, finally! Thank you! Jesus Christ.
And by the way, I feel his
That
pain.
took way too long. Well, it's not over yet, because now I have to wait for my headset to finish charging. It practically died while I was doing that. Me from 16 hours ago has no idea how correct he actually is. It was indeed not over, and he would spend the next several hours trying to figure out how he activated the microcontroller pins 3 years ago. I used to have a laptop with the original nodes, but now I don't.
The next day.
Alright, the way I have things set up right now, the red LED is linked to the neutral command, the green LED is linked to the pull command, and the blue LED is linked to the push command.
You know, time flies when you're having fun. I missed a commercial break. We're going to pause this. Hopefully we're not going to crash on this commercial break. I'm going to ask you to thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. You get the point. I mean, this is somebody doing this in his college dorm or at home with available tech from several years ago, and it's wearable. All right? And he doesn't have a team working. No, it's just him and the open software. I want to point that out. All right. We'll be back after this word from our sponsor.
When I invented MyPillow, my passion was to help each and every one of you. And 20 years later, all of your support is what keeps us going. Because of you, we've been able to create thousands of USA jobs and help millions get the best sleep ever. To thank you, my employees and I are bringing you a limited edition MyPillow. The Giza Elegance MyPillow is made with my patented adjustable fill, the most amazing cotton, and a 2-inch pipe gusset. It has 4 custom loft levels, machine washable and dryable, and you get my 60-day money-back guarantee and 10-year warranty.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your limited edition 20th anniversary MyPillow queen size. Retails for $69.98, now only $19.98. That's right, get a queen size MyPillow for only $19.98.
From all of us here at MyPillow,
Folks, I just want to point out that we here at RVM could not do it without you. I want to thank everybody that is a premium subscriber, but I do want to remind everybody that you can go to where? redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. And by doing so, you get 2 extra interviews before everybody else, even though we try to, we make everything free eventually, because it is about getting the information out there. And this weekend, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing for it, but we'll definitely have 2 more. I have Noor bin Laden. She's really interesting. She's done some really good work on the World Economic Forum. She's the niece of Osama. However, did not grow up in that circle. I don't think ever met him. I think the mother only met him on a couple of occasions, etc. But she's done great work on the World Economic Forum, and beyond. And the world that was gonna be the meat and potatoes of this episode. Maybe it'll be the meat and potatoes of the second hour, because we have the When Humans Become Cyborgs conference that I just want to go. So yeah, for those watching on the replay or whatever, when I do repost this, every circle of death, Frozen. That's what I'm reading over in the YouTube comments. No, we're gonna have to repost. Although we won't repost on YouTube. You got the whole 35 minutes. Maybe we will. I'm so guys. This machine, I probably put $3,000 into. It's like it's almost as much as I paid for my car before I repaired it. I just can't even believe it. But I can believe it, because why not? Because VLC already crashed. What was I thinking? And I don't want to bring it to the shop because, guys, newsflash, I'm an IT guy. I put all this together. Rarely do they figure out something that I don't know. It's super, super rare. Oh, I digress. I'm so mad that I got off a topic, and I wanted to play Beyond Blackrock, and I think I was pitching the Uncensored before we totally crashed, talking about the great interviews that we do here. But I want to go to The Economist, because, again, this is being normalized. It's getting mainlined, the whole shebango. So here's The Economist on human brain implants and the future.
Imagine computers that can read your mind, and brain implants that control computers by thought alone.
Everybody is fascinated about the idea of potentially being able to control things just using their mind.
This technology could revolutionize everything, from astronauts in space to care for the severely paralyzed.
He'll save his life by turning himself into the world's first cyborg.
The gap between the virtual and real worlds is closing. But how long till headsets and screens disappear?
This is not the real world.
See, once again, this is about you merging with the technology. And you know what? That was I had a Neom video in there because I wanted to highlight that. I don't have it in my queue anymore because of all the crashing. But again, they as your standard of living drops in reality, they want to elevate and escalate what can be done in the virtual world and convince you that that's the more satisfying experience, so that you end up, again, physically merging with it. And the eventual idea is that you will upload your consciousness to it. But that's not real. That's you euthanizing yourself and literally bending the knee and giving over your humanity. I mean, talk about like a soul-crushing type reality. That's what that is. Just want to throw that out there. Just want to throw it out there. So how long until the headsets are gone? The Economist wants to know.
And the Matrix is no longer fiction. This is the headquarters of Vario, a startup company based in Finland. It might look like they've created a typical VR experience, but it's not. Vario has created a headset which is changing how people interact with virtual and computer-generated worlds by changing how their brains engage with them.
Here in this example, we have a Volvo car based on a CAD model that was just transformed into fully photorealistic, accurate replica of the actual design model.
Vario's groundbreaking headset is built using advanced eye tracking technology. This means only the part of the image the eye is looking at needs to be processed. And with no perceivable lag, it feels realistic.
We design...
So, the new Apple headset that's coming out is very much like this and has cameras and sensors on the inside that follow the motion of your eye.
Optics and displays that make it possible to see in the same resolution as your own eyes see. This means that whatever we replicate looks exactly the same as it would look like in the real world.
Photorealism is one of the first steps towards convincing our brains that computer-generated simulations are real. But achieving this will also require improvements to devices called brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. The Vario headset uses hardware and software from a company called OpenBCI.
A BCI is a brain-computer interface, so it's essentially a way for the brain to directly interface with computers by reading out signals from the brain.
And I want to really emphasize how hip and cool they make all this sound. I mean, look at the quick edits. Like, they're really going to sell you on this. But it's just beginning. It's just started in the sense that it's going to be much more overt than it used to be. It was very covert. Predictive programming is real. We've absorbed it through science fiction and pop culture, again, for decades now. And it's become ever more prevalent. For many, it feels like a foregone conclusion that this will happen. Remember, when I have Fitch on the program, and hopefully we're going to do a broadcast tonight. Been a few weeks. It's time for some mixed martial mindset. But his kids, he has 2 boys, come home, and one of them talks about how they're going to merge with machines and they're going to live forever, and starts talking about the brain chip and how we can't wait for it. Again, they're selling you on the superpowers aspect of it. Superpowers. What? Huh? Whoa. The superpowers you're going to have. And John had to go, none of that's real. Just like nothing on social media is real. That's all fake. And then he showed them Neil Harbison, the man with the dongle out of his skull, the skull dongle, the dongle-E. And he's like, you want to be that guy? And they get it. You got to get them quick. But, some people don't have that relationship with their kids. And my generation has already been bombarded with this shit. Period.
The term brain-computer interface was coined in the 1970s in California. The aim was to control external objects using signals from the brain. But it's only within the last 20 years that researchers have started to pull this off.
Turn right. And fire.
So once again, wearables. At least there's a choice there. But again, can you imagine? And let's just think about this scenario. Okay. You put on a wearable, and somehow, some way, again, it's not just you directing the object or the thing, but instead something's input. We already know that people, human beings, develop addictions via neurochemical dependency and that rush, that endorphin rush, right? From drugs to sex to gambling, they develop that type of thing. What if the first time you put something like that on, there's a subconscious node, if you will, or mechanism that makes you feel dependent on that makes you feel like you have an addiction? What then? I mean, is that not a possibility when you're talking about this technology? Something I'm asking. All right, we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. Thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Let everybody know about the show, especially right now because we're only on the RVM Rumble stream because of Crashy McGee here. At least it wasn't the whole computer crashing, because then it would have been a whole thing, and at least we have this feed here. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord for that. So we're going to go to an ad. Thumbs up, subscribe, and share, and we will be back after this.
Attention Americans, breaking news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. Take action now. The Federal Reserve phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard. Your hard-earned assets are in jeopardy. But there's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Reach out to American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Visit protectfrombiden.com. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Be smart. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar. Visit protectfrombiden.com to get your free guide and get started. Again, that's protectfrombiden.com.
All right, we're going to go back to this Economist piece where they're preparing you for commercialized human brain interfaces. And again, the wearables have been around for a very, very long time. And another really interesting thing to me is the idea that saline or salt water is a conduit for your brainwaves. It's a conduit for your brainwaves to interact with technology. Think about that for a second. Think about nature and all that's around us and how technology could literally be utilized to empower all of humanity. Not just the few, but the many. And think about what has been done and what continues to be done.
Today, there are two kinds of BCIs. The first type are called non-invasive and can take the form of portable devices.
Using non-invasive ways of reading out brain activity, those signals are directly translated into ways of controlling computers, whether it's a video game or it's a robotic arm or any sort of machine.
To make computers better at reading brain signals, scientists need to get better at understanding the brain.
You can't put a BCI on, think to yourself, do I want to eat fried chicken or a sandwich or salad for lunch, and then think of it and then order it online. You don't have clear brain regions for fried chicken versus salad in the brain. If we know what the brain activity is that we're looking for in the brain region, then we can use that signal to control a BCI.
Improving the...
And you know what? That's another really important aspect of this. I feel like just with any other technology, they constantly overpromise what it can and will deliver. Okay? And then when it's actually deployed, it's never as good as they say, or the purpose is much different. And this goes back to really, if you think about it, my grandparents' generation, when all of a sudden all these little gadgets were in the home and supposed to simplify everything, from the microwave oven to the dishwasher. And continually, as that rollout happened, the television set, they said, well, automation and robotics and technology is going to make it so that you're actually going to have to work less. And you're going to have more time to learn all these skills. And they even discussed a lot of the remote or tele aspects of the world. And by the way, the tele everything that's pre-COVID goes, lightning fast during COVID, and is highlighted in that Future Strategic Warfare document. Okay? So just like they promised you you're going to work 30 hours, and now you and your spouse, if you're lucky enough to have one, okay, and instead of like 3 to 5 children, 1 to 3 tops, you're both working 40 plus hours a week. See how that works? And you're struggling. You don't own anything. People used to own their homes. Like, it wasn't like a 20-year or 30-year mortgage all the time. People saved up, bought their homes, sometimes built their homes. So there was that transition where our grandparents were told, oh, you're going to have to work less. Continually, my generation was told, oh, you're going to live longer. And none of that's come to fruition. None of that's come to fruition. So it's, and space travel, all that stuff, flying cars, all that technology, overpromised, underdelivered. The only thing that's really advanced at a scary technological level are computers and the ability to fabricate things and create illusions, whether that's in film or on television or now on social media or through narrative management and control of authoritative sources. That's it. Technology has done that. I mean, special effects are real. Deep fakes are real.
Is real. We do it here in real time with the Rock Star. And look, I get it. This thing is still in its infancy and new and doesn't always sound like the person, but
it's very much here. It's very, very much here. So let's go back to The Economist and continue playing this piece.
Understanding of the brain could lead to the type of BCI featured in the film Ready Player One. Set in 2045, it shows much of humanity escaping the real world by using headsets which fully immerse their brains in the Oasis, a near-perfect virtual reality simulation. Getting the design of non-invasive BCIs right is vital to fulfilling their potential. Some find devices like headsets impractical and bulky. But scientists are bringing designs down to size.
On top you can see one of the early prototypes of attentive view glasses, which have sensors on the back of the ears.
Dr. Natalia Kosmina is a technologist at MIT who is working on a series of new designs in conjunction with NASA.
In conjunction with who? NASA. Why do we focus on NASA? Gee, I wonder why. Because, again, in the Future Strategic Warfare document, he talks about virtual reality experiences and holodecks. Okay? This is the real... That's what NASA's really about. It's, again, they create the illusion. They're all about space travel, and we're going to the moon, and we're going to Mars again. Or the moon again and Mars. We're going to colonize space. Meanwhile, they're way more advanced on VR. And even if they were super advanced on some kind of Mars travel, and maybe they've been that far, it ain't rocket technology, and they ain't sharing it with you. It's just not real. What's real is them working on developing technology that is going to enslave your mind and going to eviscerate your humanity if you allow it. If you allow it.
We have a project with NASA about optimizing performance of astronauts.
The project is using this technology to read the brain activity of astronauts on missions to the International Space Station in order to monitor their health and performance.
So it's a suite of different wearable wireless sensing devices that can pick up brain activity, eye movements, and those can be put in the form factor of a pair of glasses. We're gonna try on a pair of attentive view glasses. So we can pick up the brain activity using these electrodes.
The attentive view glasses allow someone to answer questions by simply thinking of the answer. The computer is able to understand their answer by recording their brain waves.
So what Karim will need to do is use...
And, you know, spoiler alert, for those that did not watch the Westworld series, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you watch it because it hits so many notes of the dangers of transhumanism. But one of, I wouldn't say it's a subplot, but it's a plot that is hidden throughout the show. So again, spoiler alert. I don't think you figure it out until like the third season. Essentially, what they're trying to do is create immortality. All right. And not just these machines, but the idea that you're going to upload your consciousness to an actual physical avatar and live forever. So in order to do this, they want to be able to map everything about the brain. So in the very beginning of your trip into Westworld, you pick a cowboy hat. Okay, and now there's other worlds, and I'm sure there's other devices. But you pick this cowboy hat, and nothing's really discussed about it later. But what it does is it records your entire experience. So it records your brain waves top to bottom, and then uploads them into the system. So it's like a giant Internet of Bodies laboratory in Westworld. So, and of course, it's not distinguishable. We're in the future. We're in the future. Well, the future is now.
And only his brain activity to give an answer to this question. So, do you like it here?
Yes.
Okay, did we get it right? I assume yes.
It's a technology that offers great promise on Earth as well as in space. For example, for people suffering from neurodegenerative disorders like ALS, which causes a loss in the ability to communicate.
What we actually are doing, we are providing them with this basic communication. The caregiver can ask a question to the patient, and the patient can respond yes, no.
And you see how they're sneaking it in. They're sneaking it in through, again, this is the best thing ever, and we need this. If we don't do this, how would this person be able to interact? And I get it. But they're looking to profiteer from it. And how do individuals or entities, NGO, governments, doesn't matter, private organizations, LLCs, they exploit something. Now, not everything that is exploited is bad. But when you look at the amount of human beings that would benefit from this technology compared to those that it will actually hurt in the long run, it's not even close. And continually, the benefits are projected and slammed down our throats.
These devices also have the potential to physically alter the brain and change how it works.
Try not to think about anything. So we ask people to think about a wall or a chair and just rest your hand for 10 seconds, okay? Okay.
Professor Suk Lee Liu is a neuroscientist who has been working in this field for over 10 years.
Over time, if you train or practice with a BCI a lot, you can actually see changes in both the brain activity patterns that people have and in the brain structures.
So once again, repetition is necessary. And the more you use it, the more it interacts and the more it learns. That's a big deal. One more commercial. We're going to come back. It's going to be the top of the second hour. However, you're watching this live, you're already at rvmrumble.com. You're over on the Rumble page there because we had a Crashy McGee with XSplit. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. All right, let's go to a word from our sponsor.
When I invented My Pillow, my passion was to help each and every one of you. And 20 years later, all of your support is what keeps us going. Because of you, we've been able to create thousands of USA jobs and help millions get the best sleep ever. To thank you, my employees and I are bringing you a limited edition My Pillow. The Giza Elegance My Pillow is made with my patented adjustable fill, the most amazing cotton, and a 2-inch pipe gusset. It has 4 custom loft levels, machine washable and dryable, and you get my 60-day money-back guarantee and 10-year warranty.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your limited edition 20th anniversary My Pillow queen size. Retails for $69.98, now only $19.98. That's right, get a queen size My Pillow for only $19.98.
From all of us here at My Pillow,
The man sells high-quality pillows. If you need one, you know where to go. Use promo code RVM. All right, let's keep drilling it down. Let's get back to the economist and human-brain interfaces.
Using a BCI can not only replace or serve as a compensatory role for replacing function, but it can actually also help to rehabilitate or restore brain networks and pathways, and it's essentially like a brain training sort of tool.
One day the world may wake up to
a brain training sort of tool. Oh.
To the reality of another kind of brain-computer interface. The invasive kind, when the Matrix will no longer be just a Hollywood dream. Invasive BCIs promise the future merger of brains and computers through surgical implants. It's early days for this technology, and so far testing has mostly been done on animals.
Which is kind of a lie. The public has been shown more of the animal testing than anything else. We now know that the FDA has approved Neuralink for human trials. And the bottom line is that this stuff has been done by first world governments behind the scenes for a very, very long time. And when you've got Dennis Bushnell telling you in 2018 that they've already chipped 200,000 human beings, where is that number today? And obviously, we're beyond just alpha and beta. And in some cases, in instances, this is already operational technology.
Rather than humans. Like this monkey, Pager.
Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down.
With electrodes surgically inserted into his brain, he is able to play the game Pong simply by thinking about moving his hand up or down and sending brain signals to the computer.
And you know, they don't tell you how the vast majority of these monkeys developed real issues and died. You notice that's not promoted, but Whitney Webb has done a bang-up job exposing that. And thank God for people like Whitney Webb that are highlighting these issues as well and able to get attention driven to them. Because look, I've got a limited audience. I love that you guys are with me, and we try to grow this show every single day, and we try to do things others are not. You know, who knows what people will be talking about today? But look, we talk about the elections because they're important. We're talking about 2024. We're talking about domestic terrorism and homeland security and fusion centers like nobody else's business. Yes, that stuff's important. This is so important because it goes well beyond just the nation state and well beyond even a constitutional republic and our individual freedoms. It's really, at the end of the day, about whether or not humans are going to exist anymore. And that is free will going to exist anymore among the general populace? These are important questions.
The experiment was conducted by Elon Musk's company, Neuralink. Neuralink says its ultimate aim is to improve the lives of humans with impaired abilities. However, its experiments have proved controversial.
Protesters lining up calling for Neuralink's animal testing labs to be shut down.
The company says it has euthanized 8 monkeys, but insists it has followed the law at all times.
Yeah, at least they reported that much on it. At least thank you, economists, for at least popping that in there. But the other thing is, that's not the ultimate goal of Musk. Musk has already said that's not the ultimate. I mean, you go watch this Joe Rogan interview from years and years and years ago, and clearly that's not he's talking about taking on artificial intelligence by merging with the machines.
Invasive BCIs can also pose ethical and health risks for humans.
So they actually have to cut your skull open and then implant an electrode and then put the skull back on.
Despite this, many consider these implants to be the most promising path to removing the gap between the virtual and real worlds.
The most accurate tend to be the ones that are implanted in the brain. The upside is that you're reading directly from neural populations, so the cells in the brain that are actually firing.
Invasive BCIs have the potential to integrate human biology with technology in unprecedented ways. And scientists are slowly moving in this direction. In 2018, scientist Peter Scott Morgan offered his own body to his profession. He suffered from motor neurone disease and allowed surgery.
So we've actually highlighted this guy before. And, you know, I mean, he's sitting there just with a huge smile on his face because he's got like ultra paralysis. But he's controlling kind of an avatar of himself and talking through a brain chip.
To implant various chips into his body in the hope of extending his life.
Whatever happens, we will learn from it and we will do it better the next time.
The pioneering operations helped him live for another 4 years until his death in 2022. The brain remains one of humanity's greatest enigmas. Technology that melds the brain with computers opens up new possibilities, highlighting both how powerful the brain is and how little it is understood. While scientists are a long way from understanding its secrets, there are grounds for both hope and concern.
Hope and, I mean, there it is right there. There's the concern. The military-industrial complex has this thing. And they've weaponized it. And overall, has the military-industrial complex, has our military really protected us here at home? Or have they slowly but surely been turned inward and are now looking at us via the enemy? And I know that's hard for some people to understand or grasp, but 9/11 is the litmus test. You know, on my other program, it'll air tonight, I had Dylan Avery on. And my boy Dylan and I had met up in New York just by chance. I was at this thing called Townie-Palooza, and he showed up to record a music video. And we were kind of just going over our experience, 20 plus years ago now. And our experiences were very different. I was a little bit older. He was in high school. I was a college dropout at 22. I just dropped out of college. I know that doesn't seem like a big gap now, especially being in my 40s and thankfully still having a better hairline than Dylan. Sorry, Dylan. Not trying to dig. But we played, or I played in the very intro, the introduction to Loose Change Final Cut. And that was because it took place at New York City on the 5th anniversary. And we had thousands of people there. And we wanted justice and we wanted accountability. And the media even then ignored us after demonizing us. They've mocked us and mocked us and mocked us for years, but we were trying to save our constitutional republic. And so 5 years on from that event, you had really a playground that had been developed and set up for warfare via DARPA and the international military-industrial complex, and now the privatized military-industrial complex. Because especially during those days of people wanting troops out and being much more vocal about it in those years, the mercenaries came in on a vast scale, from Blackwater to Oak Grove, etc. And on top of that, with the privatized military, you had the biometrics that we discuss. You had the drone warfare that we discuss. You had the regimentation of all human beings in that area, militarily. And now, slowly but surely, that regimentation has come here because we've allowed the infrastructure to be built and strengthened and empowered. And that's a frightening prospect. Okay. I want to show now at the university level, again, because they're selling it to you as the idea of this empowering humanity, where this woman is using a human brain interface to interact with her husband. So let's play it.
Today is an opportunity for Anne and Bill to have a conversation through our brain decoding to facilitate what we think would resemble a future use of an actual real-life application of the technology.
We want to
try to basically create a demonstration where we're decoding the text, the speech, and the avatar at the same time from Anne's brain as she tries to silently attempt to speak. We just trained some new models yesterday, so we might need to test it a little bit.
Okay.
Because, like,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll run
it
through
should
some
work.
practice runs.
The device is an electrocorticography grid, which is attached to a pedestal, which is screwed onto the participant's skull. Anne is the very first person to have this combination.
I think you are wonderful.
In the training lab, we really focus on restoring voice to people that have lost it due to conditions like stroke or ALS.
What we're picking up on are neural activity related directly to the attempts to move her facial muscles, and that's what we're able to decode into speech.
Hey Anne, how's it going?
It is good to see you.
Giving them the ability to communicate again with their loved ones and caregivers is really what we're looking to do.
I was thinking about running to the store.
What time will you be home?
In about an hour.
Do not make me laugh.
That's the first time we've ever had a conversation using this system.
In order to communicate in her day-to-day life, she has an assistive communication device. These are dollar store glasses, and she interfaces with it using a little reflective sticker on them. It's very slow, and the device now is very old, but she relies on it.
So basically what you have right there is almost like a motion sensor Wii-like device. And she's typing via that device. So this isn't even that human brain interface development that we talked about in the beginning of the show, right? Where we were showing you the BlackRock technology and him typing, but that was a hard-wired device. This one is literally taking that right there, and then it's interacting with the camera, and through that, and by going over a letter, and I probably just like maintaining over that for a certain period of time, it will type that letter.
For us to have that conversation using her Dynavox would probably be like a 5 to 7 minute conversation.
It was nice to have a conversation. I forget how slow this machine is.
When Anne was 30 years old, she was playing volleyball with some friends and had a stroke, which led to the condition that she has now, which is locked-in syndrome. At this point, she had a 6-month-old child and a 7-year-old child.
You are truly wonderful people.
The physicians have no idea why this happened. That was now 18 years ago.
Hand that to me, please.
How can we create technology that can help people really meaningfully contribute with all sorts of abilities?
Hi, how are things going?
Hi Anne, things are going fine. How are you feeling about the Blue Jays today?
Anything is possible.
Well, you're showing not a lot of confidence in them today, are you?
You are right about that.
I guess.
And by the way, how could something like this not play on your heartstrings? You know, I get emotional thinking about this. I mean, talk about a change in life, not only for the individual that's going through that, but the family. And, you know, like you said, that conversation that took 30 seconds with this technology would take what? How many minutes? 7, 8 minutes? I can see why.
We'll see, won't we?
I feel really lucky to work with a group of students and fellows and engineers and scientists, all as a team that have had this singular goal for the last 10 years to build a device that can restore speech. And we are getting so close to making this something that is going to be a real solution for patients.
Will you do me a favor?
It's incredible to hear her discuss her journey.
Hand that to me, please.
Apart from her motivations to actually advance this technology,
I thought it would be good for me.
if you're able to produce text, synthesize speech, and then also a personalized avatar, She believes that would really, and we do too, advance her ability to become a counselor and to work with people. It's important to develop technologies which can better support individuals with disabilities, because it's a huge amount of people who we exclude from workplaces.
My hope is that this is going to be just a stepping stone to many other things that can be done for people who have lost the ability to communicate, to realize their full potential.
And the problem is, though, it's a stepping stone, again, not for the empowerment of human beings, but the enslavement. Imagine being trapped in your own mind like that. Being not only nonverbal, but unable to express yourself physically in any way, shape, or form. Nightmarish. Just totally and completely nightmarish. So, I've also, again, even before the BlackRock stuff, I had this TED Talk lined up. And, when I watch these TED Talks now, after giving these presentations at Reawaken America, I look at them and I think, well, how much information are they drilling down in 15 or so minutes? Because it's not that hard. Or I'm sorry, it's not that easy to condense everything and make it understandable and quick. So we've got this one here, and it's talking about brain chips, of course, and this type of technology. And it's a powerful new neurotech tool for augmenting what reality? So, parts like this are tough. Very empathetic to this person. I'm sure that this technology, especially since he's really embraced technology, he talks about the empowerment of it. For a guy like this, 100%. And look, the tools are there for others, for able-bodied folks, to have it empower them. I just fear that it's already in the hands of the wrong people, and we have precursor warnings of that via what we're getting in artificial intelligence. And not just the ChatGPT stuff. I've shown you the Photoshop stuff and how it's already very much in line with not reality, but a narrative that is being pushed on equity and inclusion. And look, I want to include this guy in whatever I can. I get that. But really, equity and inclusion is a code word for what? The sustainability agenda, which is what? An agenda to just devastate your standard of living. And on the road to that, take us into a transhumanist nightmare. In order to emphasize that transhumanist nightmare, I had this queued up. And although it's not, I guess, the meat and potatoes of the second hour, it is going to be played, at least in part, in the second hour. And this is the World Economic Forum pre-COVID 1984, when humans, not if humans, when humans become cyborgs, with the introduction from that Asian woman that just cannot wait to become a cyborg. And then they get immediately into swarm-like intelligence, drone swarms, human brain interfaces.
We're going to start the When Humans Become Cyborg session. I always want to be a cyborg. I'm waiting for the day to become one, but let's see.
Think about that. Always. Out of the womb, couldn't wait to become a cyborg. I can't wait to become one. What kind of life did you live? I mean, seriously. Like, at what point do you reject your humanity and just can't wait to be a cyborg? Talk about the predictive programming and the propaganda that's worked on you. It's the superpower idea. I'm gonna be a superhero. I mean, no offense, lady, but...
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
That's correct.
Today, we like to really talk about the recent developments of brain-computer interface and how that's really blurring the line between man and machine. And that's also opening up many, many questions about social, cultural, and ethical implications of these technologies. And today we have such a perfect, wonderful panel to talk about that issue. And firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm the moderator. I'm Hiromi Ozaki. I'm an artist, also young global leader from Japan.
Young global leader from Japan. World Economic Forum, young global leader.
And I make artworks based on tech and future tech. And to the very, very end, it's Ronaldo Lemos, Director of Institute of Technology and Society. And Ronaldo is a specialist in law and technology in Brazil. And it's Elena Singha, Professor of Neuroscience and Society in University of Oxford. And next to me is Victor Zhao, President of National Academy of Medicine, sorry, yes.
An old global leader. No,
And an old global leader. I'm an old global.
senior global leader.
SGL. Thank you. And first, to really set the scene of the discussion, Elena, you have something you'd like to show us about the recent progress, state of play of the field. So if you could go on stage.
So we thought we would just give you some very quick visuals to start, because I don't know if everyone knows what these technologies look like. This isn't, of course, an exhausting set of visuals. I'd like to start sessions on, sophisticated brain-machine interface talks by saying we have been trying to enhance functioning in the human brain for quite some time. Probably the first controversy that came up was with the use of smart drugs. So these were ADHD drugs for a clinical condition, ADHD, that were then used by students to try to enhance their attention.
So again, the psychotropic drugs. And with our RAND, Internet of Bodies, we talked about the drugs with the sensors in them, et cetera, et cetera. But this is so key that a lot of this technology, especially hardwired human brain interfaces, right, or brain-computer interfaces, as the BCIs, are dependent on the psychotropic aspects, are an extension of that. And I just have to, again, reiterate what has actually gone on with these psychotropic drugs that have in any way been positive.
And focus. There's very poor evidence that it actually does that. You can tell your college student, the college students you know, it seems to just keep you awake for a long time. And another technology that colleagues of mine have been using in Oxford is deep brain stimulation. I'll give an example of how that's being used. So this is a neural implant that's implanted deep into the brain, into areas that people think are implicated in whatever the problem is they're trying to solve. It's been very successful, for example, in treating Parkinsonian tremor, but it's also being used more experimentally in anorexia nervosa, for example, and it also has been, it seems to be quite successful in epilepsy. And these...
Think about what they just said about anorexia. A lot of that is a psychological condition. Just pointing that out again.
So you get an implant and it's attached to a pacemaker device that is just under the skin, and it sends an electric current to the implant and in that way regulates the area of the brain. And that electric current is set by your doctor. This is actually sort of where the brain-computer interfaces are today. One reason I like to show this picture is to give a sense of actually where the technology is at the moment, which is that it's a lot of wiring. So although we would like to think of ourselves as being able to sort of increasingly adopt a lifestyle where we are continually hooked up to a a computer or a machine that helps enhance our capabilities, particularly our intellectual capabilities. So we think about being wired into the internet, getting our brains to upload information. But this represents actually the technology problem.
So again, on the surface of the consumer level, what are they doing? They're over-promising. And so much of this is still what? Hard-lined and hardwired.
Which is we have to solve the wiring problem. And so there are people, like Elon Musk, who are trying to work on closed-loop systems where the read of the brain and the input into the brain all happens within the brain in an implant that then is actually a very small implant that's put just underneath the skull. So it doesn't require huge surgery. So that's the other thing, of course, about brain implants is that they require major surgery. So that's really where most of the work, the technology enhancing work, is happening at the moment. And then I just wanted to talk, I won't be able to say much about this today, but this is a project that I'm really excited about. It's a partnership that we're developing with Airbus to think about collective swarm intelligence. And this is about flying brains, so trying to bioengineer the brain capabilities, for example, of insects.
Bioengineer the brain capabilities of insects. Now, in Gia Dorno's presentation, he talks about the DARPA beetle and the operational networks of co-opted insects, and co-opted insects are in that NASA document, by the way. However, they've talked about taking it next level and actually bioengineering that technology. So I ask whether or not that's wet computing.
Why don't they smack into each other when they fly? How do they know which direction to take? And the interesting ethical, so I'm an ethicist, I should say, and long ago trained in neuroscience, but one of the interesting things about this technology is that it's an emergent intelligence. So it arguably is a fully autonomous intelligent system. So if you think about this technology one day being 1 million tiny insect-type drones that we release for surveillance, whether it's military surveillance or crop surveillance, what have you.
Military, crop, whatever. Whatever. We just drop them.
So this is really where I think some of the most interesting areas of this technology. It's sort of 1 million brains beyond us doing their own thing, potentially. So that's, and I don't know, Hiro, if you want me at this point to talk about any more about any of these examples, or whether I should.
Oh, if you could continue with
okay.
yes.
So I think, Ronaldo, you're going to be talking to us about the regulatory issues. So, I mean, it's just to highlight that there are, many, many ethical issues that arise in these technologies. The ones that we focus on are issues of brain privacy. Do you have a right to privacy of your brain?
Do you? Of course you have a right to the privacy of your brain. And look, this woman's a very intelligent woman. I would not call her unimpressive. But even this woman, she's got her little sheet, what to talk about. And she's an ethicist. Do you have a right to your own thoughts? Do you have a right to your own brainwaves, read or write style? I'd say yes.
In data, surveillance, some of these technologies can be used for surveillance. Error, what happens if things go wrong? What happens when you send the wrong electrical current into the brain? And of course, accountability for something like this, or any of our autonomous functioning brains in the world that we create. Who's accountable when something goes wrong? But I really wanted to give you 2 concrete examples of the way in which ethics is implicated in some of these technologies. The first is from from deep brain stimulation with anorexia. So just very briefly, so anorexia nervosa is a condition in psychiatry that has severe implications at the end of the road. If you have untreatable anorexia, that person will starve and die. And one of the features of the anorexic identity in some of these, particularly when we see younger people, is that they don't see the anorexia as independent of their identity. They don't want to separate the illness from themselves. So when my colleague Rebecca Park at Oxford, who's been working on this, so they're experimentally implanting different areas of the brain. So we're not sure which areas of the brain ought to be implanted.
I mean, how scary is that? You're taking a condition that is extremely rare, that is based in mental illness and a type of psychosis, and you're just guessing where you're going to put the brain chip to stop the person from being anorexic. It's so bizarre to me. When obviously this is a mental issue, and I mean, I can't even imagine having the mentality that I want to be sickly skinny and that food is repulsive. I mean, the vast majority of people with, that type of food impulse issue are on the total opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So much so that, again, I'm watching, I almost want to leave at that. We got 5 minutes left. Let me see if I can get this Jardiance commercial up. Jardiance commercial. There it is right there. It's the first one. It's the 2023. Out in April. Awful. But here we go. We're going to play some Jardiance for you.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell. I take once daily Jardiance. At each day start, as time went on, it was easy to see. I'm lowering my A1C.
Jardiance works 24/7 in your body to flush out some sugar. And for adults with type 2 diabetes and known heart disease, Jardiance can lower the risk of cardiovascular death too. Jardiance may cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function, and genital yeast or urinary tract infections. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. And don't take it if you're on dialysis. Taking Jardiance with sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
Jardiance is a really swell, the little pill with a big story to tell.
The fact that a commercial like that is even allowed on television makes me disgusted. Okay? We should not have commercials like that about any pharmaceuticals whatsoever, mental illness, diabetes, heart disease, none of it. None of it. That's you and your doctor. What you just watched was a pay-to-play Hollywood-style advertisement normalizing type 2 diabetes with a heavyset woman on what looked like some kind of weird Bollywood offshoot. That's part of the mind control, folks. Even though that drug right there is not an SSRI, that's part of the mind control. I mean, how many SSRIs do you got to be on before you're thinking, yeah, Jardiance. Yeah, not changing my diet, not changing my exercise regimen. No, Jardiance. My God. I had so many other stories here today, by the way. I didn't even play it, but the trans sorority girl, the guy that looks like something out of a horror film, that had to join a woman's sorority. Yeah, you got the media fawning over this guy. Don't have the time to play it. Bill Gates, he's betting big on Bud Light as a comeback. Just bought $1.7 million in shares. No, 1.7 million shares, way more dollars. Sorry about that. It's almost, geez, how much is that? Let's see. Does it say? Yeah, 95 million. Just threw 95 mil behind Bud Light. What does he know that you don't? Well, he understands that people have short memories. Bud Light is the Coca-Cola of beers, and that people are more than likely going to go back to it. And even if they don't go back to it in mass right now, they're still dominating the market because I believe Modelo is number one now, and I think Modelo is owned by Anheuser-Busch. Modelo, Anheuser-Busch. Let's see. Yep, they're the importer since 2006. Let's see what it says. It's not owned by Anheuser-Busch. Let's see, which is... however, there is been some uncertainty whether Anheuser-Busch is the owner of Modelo. So what's the deal? They just have the licensing rights? Let's see, Inherent Bud Light. Deal 2012 to purchase the group outstanding shares, which includes Modelo. The U.S., however, challenged the agreement. Okay. So I guess it's not owned by them? I'm gonna have to look into this. This is worth looking into. Just like my documentary films are, folks. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture are free right here, right now. I again apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm going to have to go back, put everything together, re-upload. I'm not happy about it. It's just the way it is. I want you to stay tuned here at Rumble if you are watching for, I believe, another hour of Bermas. And then later on in the day, you got people like Chad Caton, you've got Wayne Dupree, you got Ray Dietrich, Drew Berquist, and beyond. I want to remind everybody, it is not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. And I can only hope that you are sharing this information with others, as well as my documentary films and presentations where I really feel like I hammer home important information in a digestible fashion. So I love you guys. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the flip side.